The main hall at the Physicians and Surgeons College. Now you can see that it's empty at the moment, or almost empty, but in a very short while it will be completely full of people who are coming together with one purpose: to end open defecation. Now, an organization that has already made inroads into this this particular mission is the Open Defecation Ghana campaign, and today we'll be meeting all the stakeholders who together are working to make this happen. Let's have a chat with two of them right now. Jennifer Mankata is the resource person for the campaign, and she is joined by Emmanuel Ade, who is the convener of M-Code. M-Code is the media coalition against open defecation. Well, it's nice to see you both. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
And well, I'm sure you're excited, looking forward to this big event, but what can we all expect?
Yes, so our expectations are high in the sense that we hope that after this event, everybody will be quickened to see that open defecation should be rooted out of this country, and it can be done by bringing all stakeholders on board, no matter who you are, no matter the institution you belong to, whether you are an ordinary person, whether you are an MP, whether you are the president. And it was heartwarming to note that in the president's speech, he spoke about the fact that we even have open defecation-free communities. That really helped us, because that was what we are looking for, that there is change, and so everybody should hear about this change. Yes.
There are 5 of these open defecation-free communities. Is it 5 or more?
Okay, actually there are more than 5,000. It's not just 5 communities.
5,000
open defecation-free communities,
right,
nationwide. But most of them are actually concentrated in northern Ghana. But then in the central region, in the Volta region, there are still a lot of communities over there as well that are open defecation-free.
And this is all through the effort of this campaign?
Not only this campaign, in fact, a lot of program activities have been ongoing since 2006 or so, geared towards ending open defecation. So a lot of interventions go inside. It comes with public sensitization, it comes with provision of technology, it comes with facilitating supply of household toilets. So many interventions. So a lot of partners have come on board. But this campaign is actually trying to reach out to people who are not directly connected with delivering services or campaigning at the community level. It could be a minister, it could be a chief, it could be you, it could be me, everybody. So that is what the campaign is trying to bring on board. A lot of programs are going on in communities. This campaign is trying to scale it out to everybody.
Right. So in terms of this campaign's own achievements, do you know how many communities that this campaign has worked towards turning into open defecation-free communities?
So in terms of this campaign, we can't just bring out that segregation, but we have over 3,000. Okay, yes, over 3,000 communities.
That you are working in?
That we are working in, yes. So we and a lot of these communities, like Emma said, this campaign started in 2017, but already ongoing, there's been so much activity. Okay, so this campaign is actually bringing on board the work that all other agencies have been doing. So we just congregated all the numbers to say that this campaign is possible, okay, because so we just didn't lift out just what this campaign has sought to do, but we brought all the various approaches just to say that we have all these numbers that are open defecation free, and so it's time to make sure that the numbers go up further. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So help us understand the size of the problem. Open defecation. How bad is it? How widespread is it? And what are the negative effects of it?
Yeah, if you say how bad it is, I would say very, very bad, because Ghana ranks among some of the top-ranking open defecation countries, and that alone is image damaging. In terms of percentages, we say 22% of Ghanaians practice open defecation every day.
Wow.
And 22% of roughly 30 million population, about close to 7 million people doing it every day. So that is the intensity of the problem we have. And the problem is even that even in 1992, it was the same figure, 22%. And now in 2020, we are still talking about the same 22%. And in absolute terms, I would say the trend is even rather increasing, because 22% of the population in 1990, which was about 12 million, was much lesser than 22% of 30 million. So it means in absolute terms, it is going up. But then the good news is that for the first time, we are seeing entire communities that have stopped open defecation. That is the ODF we have been talking about. Open defecation free is ODF. So between especially 2012 and now, that is where we've got more than 5,000 communities, not individuals, stopping open defecation, including an entire district, the Nandom districts. The whole district, nobody practices open defecation. There are almost about 25 or so districts that have more than 50% of their communities open defecation free. There are entire electoral areas, entire area councils, so many of them that are also open defecation free, which means there's a change that has started. And that is why we are doing this campaign, so that everybody that jumps onto this change that we are seeking, and then we all change. Because the moment you and I say we want to practice open defecation, the whole nation will be open defecation free. But then a lot of people have to play their roles. The president has a role to play. The minister has a role. Head of institution has a role to play. Because if there is no toilet at the office, people might be tempted to go elsewhere. At the market, who is managing the place? Are there clean toilets there? And so on, everywhere. So everybody has a stake. You want to?
Yeah, I just want to add, I think you asked about the magnitude of the problem. And I think that for us, sometimes as Ghanaians, we don't see till it hits us in the face. And I was joking to someone the other time that if open defecation was like the coronavirus, we would all have been wiped out by now. Because a lot of us, that's why we're actually targeting those of us who are coming here today, think that we have toilets, and so we are not at risk, okay? But somebody who is doing open defecation, maybe selling by the roadside, would sell water to you, you go to the market, you are going to purchase the food. And Joy FM, I know you've been doing your Joy Clean Ghana campaign, and you've been bringing some of these issues out. And so we are at risk. In fact, about 3,600 children in Ghana die annually from diarrhea. And it's all sanitation related. Recently, we've heard how polio is coming up again. And it's all sanitation, in terms of sanitation related. And it's all due to these things that we need to realize that we need to, nip this thing in the bud. Other countries, even like India, Bangladesh, which have larger populations than ours, have been able to do this. And so we can do this. Okay.
Right. Now, let's talk about why it's bad, because I'm sure there are those who think about it, open defecation, as, people attending to nature's call in nature, going off into the bush or whatever, or on the beach. To their minds, human waste is biodegradable. If you go off into the bush and do your business, what's the downside? Why is it not good?
Yes, when we say even sanitation, when experts talk about sanitation, obviously they are talking about human waste, that's fecal matter. The other things that we see are solid waste, which is defined as such. Also, that is, but this one is human waste, that is sanitation. It has a lot of health implications, because a gram of human feces, they say, contains millions of bacteria and other viruses. So a lot of illnesses that otherwise would have been preventable are caused by this human waste that we spread all about gram. And they say the average size of normal human beings, like one defecation, is about 128 grams. And each of them has millions of bacteria that spread diseases. It means most diseases could have been avoided if we had cleared these things out of our environment. But then one person will defecate here, and then these viruses and bacteria and they spread through the air, through the water that flows. They can dry up and be blown by the wind and so on. Then we inadvertently, indirectly inject into our system. So once this happens, you have the health implication: diarrhea, cholera, typhoid, I learned especially typhoid and cholera. If you don't ingest feces, human feces, you will not get that. And about 70% of all OPD cases are related to sanitation, which is more or less open defecation. Children get stunted when they are infected, intestinal worms that can affect even their thinking or their brain development. All this, that is health alone. When it comes to economy, Ghana loses about $79 million US dollars every year to open defecation alone.
Wow.
And translated into Ghana is more than 300, about 79 times about 5. It's more than $300 million Ghana cedis every year that is wasted because of this open defecation. And even look at the personal and national image. There are people who come to Ghana, for example, in a year of return, go to the beach and see people also squatting and easing themselves. The impression that they will take out there can be damaging and can even affect our economy. Individually, imagine you live in your house and people visit you. There's an event, people come, they are visiting you, they want a place to defecate, and you are now showing them the way to the bush. The feeling that goes through your system alone is also enormous. So the impacts are many. Right. It affects education, it affects economy, it affects tourism, it affects our health.
But we have 5,000 open defecation-free communities at least. So how have we done it? How have we been able to get rid of open defecation in some of these communities?
Yes, as I indicated earlier, the approaches are diverse, but the most popular one that has actually brought up the change is some approach we call community-led total sanitation. It is a behavior change approach. Instead of going to households and promising them or providing them with toilet facilities, you sensitize them to understand the effects of open defecation, the impact it's having on their lives and their livelihoods, and why they should change. And on their own, they decide to change. That is the approach. It works like bushfire. But then that is not the only intervention, because once you go and you convince the person, and the person is persuaded, convinced enough to install a facility, what kind of facility is he going to install? Can he afford it? Is it sustainable? Is it even standard enough to also itself not spread diseases? So you intervene with other supply mechanisms, not necessarily providing, but facilitating the supply. It can be training of artisans in the community, so that when you need the expertise, you get an artisan. It can be training of provision of like a financial product. It can be savings and loans or whatever, some kind of financial. They all come in to facilitate the supply. Even promotion of small toilet-related businesses, they all come in to support. And then there is also
so just to add to what Ima is saying, there are other approaches. Apart from CLTS, we have the sanitation and marketing approach. And all these communities we are talking about are mainly in the rural communities. So you realize that when they sense that there's what we call triggering, when they sense that, wow, this thing, and nobody coaxes them, we just tell them the implications of what open defecation is. And then they come to that realization that this is not good for us. So what can we do? They then themselves decide that we are going to build our own household toilets. So we have a mud house. We are going to use mud to build. We are not going to use cement. So it makes sense. That's how come the numbers have increased. And then we have other approaches to in some of the urban areas that's trying to meet the urban need, which is urban sanitation. And then we have, I think in Greater Accra, with this partnership that we are doing too, we have the Gamma project. Yes, the Gamma project. That's the supply side trying to subsidize toilets so that people in poor, but those are for poor, it's supposed to go to just the low-income communities, the low-income communities are supposed to benefit from that. But then for the CLTS approach, nobody gives these people anything. There's no subsidy. They themselves build. And when they, after some time, we have what we call the sanitation ladder. they start climbing up. Now they want to improve on that facility. So they start saving towards a more improved facility. Sometimes when the storms come, their toilets break down, but they realize that no, we've benefited so much. We went to a place where they actually said the public toilet was not helping them because it was actually promoting open defecation in the community. And why is that? Because of the state, okay? Because nobody wanted to go inside, and there was actually some who go around it and just be openly defecating. But when they started having their own in their homes, they realized that the incidence of diarrheal-related and sanitation-related diseases came down dramatically. And so some of these old structures have been pulled down because they were not serving the purpose for which it had to serve. So we just need people to know that household toilets, where the individual himself has a stake and decides that I have to maintain this because it benefits me as an individual. Okay, and then we look at the institutions because so many schools don't have toilets and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so the problem is not just in the provision of facilities in homes. There's also the general waste management issue, isn't there? How have we been tackling that? I mean, are there robust systems in these communities for the management of waste from individual homes?
I would say we don't have robust systems for waste management at all. So even these toilets, some of them, when the households are able to build, then the thinking is how, when it becomes full, how are they going to manage the sludge? It's an ongoing process. So now researchers are coming out with various options how to even make use of the sludge so that the toilets that these households are able to build, they will make use of the sludge for maybe agricultural purposes or for energy production and so on, so that they will not be spotting toilets here and there. Even there will be problem with space. So that is there. But what we have realized is that the moment the communities have understood and agreed to even stop open defecation, it affects their waste management in general, like indiscriminate littering and all that stops, because usually you have a committee in the community that is monitoring households' behaviors and then trying to correct each other, because they are made to feel that you drop it here, we are all affected. So they have a way of handling it. But as a nation, for now, I would say waste management is still a major issue, both rural and
we're going to
urban.
explore that a bit more in a moment. But we're here at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. We're talking to Jennifer and Emmanuel, and they're getting us all excited about the big event coming up, Ghana Goes ODF, as we work together to end open defecation across the nation. When we come back, even more from the College of Physicians and Surgeons.